I rise this morning to share with the Honorable House a very brief or some brief statements as it relates to the ministries that I have oversight. But I can guarantee you, Madam Speaker, that I'm going to be extremely brief. But I thought it was necessary, Madam Speaker, for me to highlight some of the work that is being done, especially when organizations go out of their way to ensure that projects that we submit get the sponsorship. And I want to personally thank Ambassador Doyle from UNESCO, and even my teacher, Mrs. Warner, the Secretary General for UNESCO, on the work that she is doing, ensuring that whenever we make a request from UNESCO, we are almost or all-time guaranteed of the financial support. And as such, Madam Speaker, there are 4 projects that are presently going on, and I thought that I should highlight them this morning and even credit the officers who are responsible doing the groundwork. We move towards professionalizing of the teaching force, Madam Speaker, and a consultant has been chosen to lead in this next phase, and that will be implemented later in March. And there are a number of things that the consultant will be working along with our team here, making sure that the documents are the National Professional Standards and Career Pathway, Continuous Professional Development Framework, National Qualification Framework, Pre-Service Teaching Education Guidelines, Teaching Education Accreditation Guidelines, the overarching framework for the teaching profession, performance appraisal, the Civil Service Code of Conduct. All of these will be reviewed, and we work towards professionalizing our teaching force. Of course, Madam Speaker, the St. Christopher and Nevis Accreditation Enhancement Initiative, this is another project, and we have the implementation phase in terms of the water resilience, the intangible cultural policy, and additional funding, Madam Speaker, has been secured from Japan for Education Sustainable Development 2030 initiative. That department, they are working, and I want to commend them, and by extension as well, the senator, who is really a driving force with ensuring that we go after every opportunity when it comes to grant, and I applaud her. Madam Speaker, I move on to the Irish Town Primary School. We know that February 14th was a sad day for the Irish Town Primary School and for the entire education fraternity. But I'm happy to report, Madam Speaker, that we have been working and we continue to do our work. Counseling was provided for teachers and students. Parents' engagements were undertaken. And most importantly, Madam Speaker, face-to-face started on the 1st of March, and that's for grade 3 to grade 6, and on the 2nd of March for the kindergarten to grade 2. And I want to thank the members of the Olivet Gospel Hall, the church, for allowing our students to use there. Also the Church of God, Basia Church of God, we are using the hall as well, and the old Venezuela embassy, they are housing our students as well, Madam Speaker. And we are grateful that the students are able to be back out face to face with all of the counselors on board with our plans. But most importantly, Madam Speaker, while they are in their temporary spaces, we are working extremely hard to get some new features or measures put in place as a means of additional security for the school. And I believe this is going to happen in other schools. It's sad that something had to happen, and then we are now. So we are going to be putting up metalwork installation frames around the school, the retaining wall, and of course, you know, the fencing that was always an issue, and we are working on that. And I'm proud to let the country know that we reached out to some businesses and they are responding positively. And so I want to highlight the St. Kitts Masonry products. They have agreed to donate all of the cement that we would need for any work that is going to take place at the Irishtown Primary School. We recognize that we would have to relocate the principal's office, and the work is being done to create that new space. Lighting will be corrected. We are putting up security cameras in the school, and I think I need to let the country know that I came across a file where over close to $200,000 were paid for security cameras in our schools. And I am yet to see one school completed. Well, take out Bantuwich, because I did that while I was there, before government's initiative. The entire school had cameras, all my classrooms had cameras. But I say this because, Madam Speaker, sometimes we keep doing things over and over, because had cameras been already in the school and working, we wouldn't have to go and invest again in something like that. And of course, Madam Speaker, just to show our appreciation, the students and teachers have agreed that they are going to do a memorial garden down at the school. I want to thank my colleague, Honorable Member for St. Christopher number 2, who is really with me every step of the way as we try to bring the Irishtown Primary School back to normalcy, Madam Speaker. Madam Speaker, I don't know if you have been driving around, but sometimes I drive around, I'm so excited. The Basia High School, you know, phase 1, that would have been completed. That is the removal of the roofs on all of the buildings on the eastern side. Phase 2, on the western side, we had the removal of the buildings on that side. And we are now at phase 3, Madam Speaker, where we are going to do the demolition of the buildings both on the eastern side and the western side. I want to commend the Ministry of Education maintenance team, who constantly meets with public work, or will be meeting with public works and planning. I had a meeting myself with members from the planning, and we are moving forward in ensuring that the New Bastia High School construction start. They are at the grounds right now, cleaning the area so that physical planning can go in and start doing their points as they ask me to make way for them. The bathrooms initiative that I spoke about sometime in Parliament at the Washington Archibald High School and the Tucker Clark, those are about to start in quick time. And of course, I must report, the Honourable Member for number 5 will be happy to hear this, that the electrical upgrade that should have happened at the SEMS for quite a while, that is on schedule. We have situation down there where you're plugging in things and they're mashing up, and I got a report. Luckily it wasn't anything, deadly, shocking. So we are going to do the electrical upgrade at the SEMS shortly, Madam Speaker. The tender went out, they are already selected. The enhanced curriculum, we were able to secure some $84,000 worth of supplies. These would be distributed to all of our schools, Madam Speaker, for the grade 4 to grade 6 as a means of supporting the curriculum, because having a curriculum and not having all of the resources to make sure that it's implemented, it's not a good look, and as a result we are able to provide the teachers and the students with some additional resource so that they can be effective. I'm happy to report that the TVET Council is fully functioning. Haven't had the opportunity to appoint the chairperson and the other board members. And of course, this is ongoing capacity building, Madam Speaker, in the area of TVET, because as we start to transform education as we have been promising, we have to make sure that the TVET Council is fully on board and in place so that it can help, especially when it comes to making sure that when we offer training, persons are accredited. I'm happy to report to this Honourable House that we have the designs for the merger. The designs of the merger, remember we indicated that we are merging the Estridge and Edgar T. Primary School. They are merging together come September. There are several competitions that they had out there in terms of the school song, uniform, the crest and the motto. And March 10th, Madam Speaker, is the deadline for this. Come September, we are going to have a new look in a new area. And the Estridge Primary School will be transformed into a state-of-the-art primary educational institution that will house our students from the Cotton Thomas Comprehensive, and also our Spectrum Center would also be there. And I want to publicly thank the ambassador from the Republic of China, Ambassador Lin, for the support that he has offered at this time to ensure that they will construct that school for us as a gift for our 40th anniversary of independence. Of course, Madam Speaker, Public Works, they are sharing the design of the Joshua Obadiah Primary School with the Ministry of Education so that we can move speedily to get the work started at that institution in Molyneux. I must also inform this Honorable House that from the Ministry of Education, we are also reviewing the HERE policy as it relates to the attendance at our schools. We are going to review that, and in quick time, Madam Speaker, the entire country will know exactly what that policy, a new policy. The students will love it because the Honorable AG have asked me to make sure that nobody else go to the court. So we are fixing it once and for all, breaking down the barriers, but of course everything will be done decently and in order. Madam Speaker, I must inform the Honorable House that once you have a vision and you have committed people, the vision will be realized. Yeah. And I am not boasting, but I'm happy with the support that I've been given by all of my permanent secretaries and all of my other staff. And I say this because I introduced the interministerial committee. And this committee, we used to meet once per month, now we meet in every other month. And I bring all of my permanent secretaries, all of the chairpersons of all of the boards that I have foresight over, and all of my heads in one space looking at the ministry plan. And collectively, we are able to support one another, making sure that the vision of the ministry is carried out. And I want to thank them for their support. Madam Speaker, I move on now to housing, and I'm going to go quickly because I see you giving me that smile. Remind me of on stage. We are in the process, Madam Speaker, of getting ready to launch, and you might have seen it in the social media, our housing revolution. We have a new look for our 1-2 bedroom options for our homes. And of course, Madam Speaker, we know that construction is a very integral part of, driving that energy into the economy. And we are committed to deliver. We recognize over the years some persons, and include COVID, would have had some challenges in being able to meet their payments for their mortgages. And we were able to put a new unit up at NHC to try and see how best we can assist these persons. And I am happy to report, and I want to commend the workers as well, that 173 persons out of some 823 who have been delinquent, they have come in and made arrangements to start to pay for their homes. Madam Speaker, people are paying as low as $300 per month for their homes. And if you can't do that, we still find a way to assist. So I appeal to the others to come in so that we can work with you. Madam Speaker, as we move in the direction of more sustainable construction method, this of course would allow a more effective way of building, while of course ensuring that it cuts down on the costs. And we made a commitment to the country that we are going to deliver homes, and homes we will deliver, because we are finalizing all of the dottings and crossing of T's with a company that will be delivering up to 2,400 homes. In the first instance, 600 homes will be constructed. And I'm not talking about next year. I am talking about to start in a few weeks. The plant is already on its way to St. Kitts to do the model homes, Madam Speaker. And this, of course, is at no cost to the government. Every day, there are a number of applications that we receive from people who want a house or would like a home to be built. And we are going to facilitate that, Madam Speaker. Because home ownership is a privilege, and it is something that a lot of persons look forward to. In addition to the smart homes, Madam Speaker, that we are going to be offering, we are working on the West Street Housing Initiative. You know, Madam Speaker, we would have had the Wellington Road homes that were constructed. Up to date, 6 have been emptied for quite a while. The reality is, it appears as though only one minister knew what was happening with those homes. And NHC is stuck in a bind because there is no report up at NHC. There were never a decision for NHC. They were never invited to a meeting. It's after the fact. So we are making sure that when we go on West Street, we don't end up in the same situation, Madam Speaker. This month, on East Street, Newtown, my constituency, we are going to put a model home over there, Madam Speaker, to show the persons on East Street how their homes will be looking like in a matter of a moment. You see, you got to be very careful with saying everything, because the enemy have a way of trying to penetrate, so you have to know how to confuse the enemy when the time is right. Amen. But East Bastia, good things will be happening when it comes to homes over there. Madam Speaker, the garden housing project, the minister reminded me this morning, so I'm going to, yesterday, that she needs some attention be placed at the garden housing. When I hear of the story and the condition those homes are in, it is painful that as a government, we continue to ignore the things that we need to pay attention to. So I've given her the assurance that we are going to do a site visit down there, because in our initial estimate or visit, I was told by the board that we'll have to find some $750,000 to fix the interior of those apartments. And we are going to get it done. And I must say here, when we build homes or apartments in the future, maintenance will be a priority. Matter of fact, we are moving to, just like in the US, where the superintendent of the building live in the apartment. We will move in that direction if we have to, so that we don't allow these buildings to run down and then you have to spend so much more on repairing, Madam Speaker. Madam Speaker, as I wrap up, let me just remind us that as the minister responsible for the STEP program, we continue to clean up the program. We continue to provide employment and training opportunities for our people. Over 1,000 persons would have benefited in just a few months. And it's a good thing that I have Dr. Bradshaw here and the other nurses, of course. But I want to personally thank Dean at the time, Bradshaw of the nursing division, because she came on board when I shared the vision that we had at the STEP program for training of our home care officers. And she ran the program for our participants outside of their normal training, and I am extremely grateful for that opportunity, because we were able to train 25 persons in home care. 25. And some of those persons have already been attached to the Carding home. Some are working in all of the communities, because we really have to do better of taking care of our seniors. So I want to thank her and all of the others who would have allowed that to happen. Lastly, Madam Speaker, on this step, I'm making an appeal, especially to those persons in the private sector, because some of them have participants there for 10 years now, since 2013. And you're not going to have nobody working in your institution for 10 years and they're not doing a good job and you're keeping them. So as we try to help others to get an experience in the STEP program, I'm asking you to start thinking about how you'll be able to employ some of these people. After 10 years, I think we need to do a little better. But at the right time, Madam Speaker, we would be engaging those persons. Because I think it was in December I highlighted, if one person stayed with a company from since 2013, that one individual wages alone was $192,000. Finally, Madam Speaker, I want to thank the entire country for how they responded to the National Day of Prayer, February 28th. I want to personally, Madam Speaker, thank Permanent Secretary Elrita Brown and the entire staff at Human Settlement and Ecclesiastical and Faith-Based Affairs, because they worked together. Even on the weekend while I traveled to Grenada, I was commended for the National Day of Prayer. It seemed as if the entire Caribbean was following. So to all of the pastors, all of the prayer warriors, and I'm seeing one right in here, for really spending time on that day travailing. And I must thank those on the Christian Council, the Evangelical Association, because you had over 200 pastors coming together on that day right across the Federation. I want to thank Pastor Ron Daniel, I think is the chairman of the Christian Council on Nevis, Evangelical Association, on Nevis, who ensured that the same thing we did in St. Kitts, they mirrored it in Nevis. Citizens, well done, and we look forward to your continued support, not only on the National Day of Prayer, because we are not going to just stay silent. I have a mandate, and that mandate will be carried out. May it please you, Madam Speaker.